Welcome everyone from Baron George Day of Sealand College. I will now appear on the screen with our PowerPoint. Okay, again, welcome everyone. My name is Baron George Day, and I am an aristocratic citizen of the Principality of Sealand. I am also the founder and principal of the Principality of Sealand College, which is not it's not an official college of the Principality, is not government endorsed, but we do work very closely with the community in order to promote our principality. For those who don't know, the Principality of Sealand was founded in 1967. It is the smallest country in the world, and it is a country because it has fulfilled all the criteria of nationhood or statehood from the International Montevideo Convention, which is sort of binding, so to speak, in international law to define what makes a state. So any argument against the legitimacy of our statehood is not really counterparted by the argument of international law. We do have a legal team, and we have been forming a community online because, like the Vatican, we are not a country where someone will be born with a citizenship. We choose our citizenship or our noble title in our principality. And like the sovereign military order of Malta, we are also extended internationally. So although we do have a territory which is between the United Kingdom and France in the southern east coast of the British Sea, although the Principality was formed in the international sea. That is our territory, but we also extend via Discord through a vibrant and organized community with a government in place. Today we're going to do a free presentation on the Principality. We offer 7 presentations a year in line with our 7 national holidays, as they happen to be currently. And today we are celebrating Family Day, which would normally fall on the 21st of June. We are a bit behind, but we don't normally have a presentation on the actual feast day necessarily. We would have it a bit after the date. And so today we celebrate this with National Feast. Okay, so we start with the question, what does it mean to be a Sealander? Again, this country is officially a country, although it is not officially recognized in paper by any of the established countries in the world. But this doesn't mean anything because de jure recognition is only a political privilege, which would guarantee diplomatic relations and free movement. What we do have is de facto recognition from three countries. From Germany, because there was at some point in our history an ambassador who traveled all the way to the island of Sealand to free a prisoner who happened to be a Sealander citizen who was also guilty. He had been found guilty of treason, and so he was detained in our prison. And so they needed an ambassador to free this prisoner because he was also a German citizen. There have been at least two court cases, judgments from the High Court of the United Kingdom that has defined on both cases that Sealand happens to be outside British jurisdiction. And this was done in connection to the use of, inverted commas, the illegal use, according to the United Kingdom, the law of the land in the United Kingdom, of weapons. What happens is our guards will, which is our official police corps, will officially defend their territory if it is under in danger of being occupied. And this has happened when the United Kingdom has tried to take hold of the principality. And so there has been an occasion where weapons were fired. But there was no conviction because this was outside British jurisdiction. And also there was, at some point in our history, a letter of congratulations from the President of France for having established this new country between France and the United Kingdom. So, like I said, we don't have de jure recognition, but we enjoy de facto recognition. And it must be pointed out that Sealand is treated as a country by the United Kingdom because the United Kingdom does not interfere with the law of the land in the Principality of Sealand. We do have a constitution and a law that when we are physically on the island, we would follow. So Sealand is a symbol of freedom, sovereignty, and nationhood. Sorry, 1 second. I've lost the PowerPoint. Okay. Right. Sealand is not something you are born into, like I said. This makes us similar to the Holy See, also known as Vatican City State, and also the Sovereign Military Order of Malta, which is also an entity of international law. We would say a country without a proper territory. Um, as you know, the Order of Malta has sovereignty, is part of the United Nations as an observer, and has international recognition by many countries. Again, international recognition is only a privilege, a political privilege. It is not a necessity to be a country under the Montevideo Convention. And we are like them, in a sense. Most of us, the vast majority, don't actually live on the island, but we form a community on Discord where we participate actively and we try to also establish formal channels to work for the common good of the international community. At present, For example, we pay a monthly tax. This is only for citizens. We pay a monthly tax to the government to maintain our common sea, common to Sealand and the British nation, clean. So we clean the sea, in other words. We're trying to also expand this service if the revenue should increase. And we are also trying to offer education to the international community. At the moment, we are discussing the establishment of cultural centers where we can offer anything that would benefit the community, like, for example, teaching English or other languages, or even also uh, information on our principality. Also, charity work in partnership with other official organizations for places where there has been natural calamities or even signs of war without taking, obviously, political part. So we are again a global community that is chosen. We are a community. We speak of community because we mainly interact on Discord. This is our official channel where we express our community in official terms. Again, our nation is shaped by freedom, independence, and adventures. In fact, this is not a country in the conventional, normal sense of the term. In a sort of way, we expand beyond the borders of our territory. The Principality of Sealand is a self-declared sovereign state located on Raf's Tower in the North Sea. And again, like I said, it was founded in 1967 by Prince Roy as a romantic gesture. This was on the 2nd of September 1967 as a romantic gesture to his wife, as that date happened to be her birthday, on which he made his wife a princess. The titles that we have are official, recognized in the UK, where we can also be registered as part of our identity. That would be entirely choice of the individual. But once a title is conferred with a financial contribution to the revenue of the principality, whether a citizen or not, in some countries, including the UK, which is the country that the best relations with the principality, the title can be formally recognized. We have our own constitution, we have a flag, we have an anthem, which you heard just at the beginning of this presentation. We have a currency, so we have our own denominational money. We have noble titles, which we confer to anyone who helps the principality with a financial contribution. We have national teams, football and other sports. And again, we have an e-citizen community. We say e-citizens because even we need, due to health and safety, we would need a visa in order to visit our country. But the point is that this is full citizenship. E-citizenship simply means that we interact through the international community on Discord. For citizens, it's much easier to get to visit the Principality because we have priority. Prince Roy Bates is the first prince in line, with Prince Michael reigning at present, and Prince James, that is the prince apparent, the heir to the throne, and Prince Liam, who is the spare to the throne. And we ought to say that Prince Roy passed away not long ago. I think it was in 2012, after his princess, Princess Joan. And Prince Michael, the current sovereign, is very much letting go, taking a sabbatic, and letting his two sons, the heir and the spare, run the country. So basically, we should say, although it's not really stated officially, that the prince heir and the prince spare are the actual prince regents. So the principality was declared by Prince Roy an independent country in 1967 with full effect because at the time, and we still do, we fell outside the international waters. Now, the United Kingdom, before we reached um, good relations, which we enjoy at the moment, they tried every means possible to put an end to this initiative. And so they even tried to make the royal family evacuate the property. We say property, I'm saying property, but the fact is that although it was called a property of the king, because in fact it should be H.M. Raftowers, Rafstower. It couldn't really be stated officially that it is property of the King of the UK because it had been built illegally. And so it was outside the parameters of the law of the land in the UK. So it was effectively terra nullius, so law of no one. And Prince Roy was in his full right also because it fell outside the national waters of the UK to take hold of the fort and declare it a principality. This was done again on the 2nd of September, our Independence Day, 1967, and it started in full effect. Now, the United Kingdom tried to claim the principality as part of its jurisdiction by extending their international waters. But we did it before, 3 days before, because we know we saw this coming, and so we extended our international waters before the UK did. But even if we hadn't done that, still under international law, a country cannot overtake the territory proper of another country by extending their waters. This simply cannot be done. And so at the moment, we say that the waters are shared with the UK and the Principality. And I reiterate that we are the ones who actually keep them clean with our monthly tax to the Principality. The fort was called His Majesty Ra's Tower, and it has become a home for freedom for the royal family for many years outside the United Kingdom. In fact, Prince Michael didn't even go to school, and he sort of managed to have his own private education or self-education. But because he was not residing in the United Kingdom, he wasn't breaking the law because there were no schools in the Principality of Sealand. So the main reason why the Principality exists is our belief in freedom and self-determination. And so even though it may go against the parameters of formal thinking in the international community, we are a study case internationally. Although many claim also in my diplomatic relations, which I shouldn't say diplomatic, but I do happen to speak to consuls and people who say are of some importance, and they say, you simply don't exist. Well, they can't say that because in international law, I mean, they can say, but that would fall under the remit of their personal opinion. Because the actual facts are that, just like Palestine, we are a case study in international law. Just to be clear, there are two case studies in international law, Palestine and the Principality of Sealand. And so we have the courage to build something new, formed in this reality, which is a proper country because we do have a territory, and but citizens that interact through Discord on the internet. Now, some would say, and you also will find some information on the internet, that an artificial territory cannot be claimed for sovereignty. That isn't the case, because in customary law, what we see is that the Republic of Venice was formed and established on artificial soil. In fact, it was built on the sea. And also, Dubai is an artificial territory. So this argument simply doesn't apply. So, like I said, Sealand stands on freedom, sovereignty, and community. We refer to ourselves as a community because we meet on Discord. We refer to ourselves as a country because we have a territory, unlike the Order of Malta, which is also an entity of international recognition. It is recognized internationally, a part of the UN as an observer, but they don't have a territory. They don't have a land. And yet they are a country. So we do have a land. We have a community like they do. We have like I said, a land like the Vatican does. We are a chosen citizenship, just like the Vatican and the Order of Malta. But if they have formal recognition, we have de facto recognition, which means that certain things happened in our history which makes it a fact. So they recognized us in practice. The very moment you send an ambassador to the Principality of Sealand to free someone who happens to have double nationality, and so because he is also a citizen of your nation, you want to free him from our jail system, well, that is an international diplomatic relation. So it is a de facto recognition. So independence is not bound by formal recognition. It is demonstrated through facts. And this is what we would call self-determination, shared identity, and independent thought. We are a frontier of the sea because we happen to operate in the sea. Like I said, we clean the Sealand and British Sea with our monthly tax. We have digital frontiers. Well, nowadays, especially after COVID, we have entered into a new reality where many communities and churches and businesses and countries are finding their platform online. If this is true also for Taiwan, which does not have international recognition, but does act as a country, especially in the marketing place, in the marketing platform. So you will notice that they will be using the internet a lot. So again, like ourselves, Taiwan, although it does not enjoy formal recognition, it has de facto recognition because they have diplomatic dealings through finances with other countries. And that does not include China because China claims it as part of their own country. So you see, sometimes what is formally stated on official documents does not actually reflect the facts. And really, it should be said that this does not apply to Sealand because as far as official statements on Sealand, there is none. No official statements have been made so far. The case is being studied. We are a global community, and we are present in 124 countries. As Sealanders, we have national ID cards and passports, although at present it is strongly discouraged to use our passports for traveling because you could end up in trouble. It must be said that under customary law, they have been used and stamped in the past. We still hold these passports as evidence that if this has been done in the past, it constitutes a precedent. So what is in customary law simply cannot be changed. So if these passports have been accepted and stamped in the past, then that is a fact. Again, de facto recognition. It happened. So we tend not to deliver passports so that people may not misuse them. But we highly encourage people to use our ID cards. I use my ID card all the time. And sometimes some people may make some problems, some officials. But I have to say that anytime I have complained, I've had an apology or a financial compensation. At present, we are building a financial structure in our principality through our community on Discord, where we have entrepreneurs, creators, technologists, and pioneers helping shape our future. It could be that we might extend our artificial territory because, I mean, let's face it, if you have seen our videos, it's not the easiest place to get to. You have to rely, if you want to keep it cheap, on a wing, literally to pull you up from a boat to the platform, or you may also catch a helicopter. but that would cost a lot of money. So we have in view the possibility, the plan to improve the infrastructure so that people can get there more easily. This is also another reason why, in order to also for citizens to visit the Principality, we need a visa because of safeguarding, health and safety. Um, I have to say, for example, that I suffer from water phobia, although I know how to swim, because in my long life I have tried to overcome this phobia, but with no success. Even for me, it might be a problem to actually jump on the swing and be pulled up into the platform. So it is something to take into consideration. It's not just a thing, say, okay, I'm going to visit the Principality. There needs to be a conversation about how we would get on the platform and whether or not it will be safe. So from Los Angeles to Tokyo, it says on this slide, Sealanders raise the flag and participate in the global digital community. We have even climbed Mount Everest and we put our flag there. Application to become an e-citizen is easy and the cost is also not high. Nevertheless, there is a process. I mean, people cannot just buy a title and say they are citizens. It doesn't work like that. Purchasing a title or making a financial contribution to the principality's revenue, which would confer you a title, this is more accurate. But this would only confer a noble status. So in a way, you will be like a subject, although are non-citizen aristocratic nobles with titles. They have a title, a noble title, which is recognized also in the UK. That doesn't make them individuals who share sovereignty. Sovereignty is shared by citizens. That's why citizens can vote, have a say, interact with the government, and we citizens do that. At the moment, we don't really have a parliament, but we are forming one. And what we have is a town hall where a selection of citizens, very few, interact with the government for the future of the principality. And we are in the process of building a council, or a circle, which is the equivalent of a parliament. And this would be the organ that will make decisions together with the two regent princes, Prince James and Prince Liam. Okay, in order to share sovereignty with the royal family, you need citizenship. A title doesn't make you a sovereign. I mean, an individual sharing sovereignty. So, but what a title would give you is an ID card, which is not a citizenship card. It's simply a Sealand ID card that you can use. And again, my personal experience is that when that hasn't been accepted, I have complained and I have had on two different occasions an apology from the UK Border Office and a financial compensation from an agency in the UK. Now, I have to say that I do not use my ID to cross the border. For that, I have my passport from another country. Nevertheless, I happen to have a change of name, legal Paul, and no other ID to corroborate my identity other than my Sealand ID. So they have to accept it. If they don't, I complain and I get an apology. Okay, our future, what the way we see our nation is we are aiming to have a digital government. Like I said, we are in the process currently of forming a circle or council, which is the same as a parliament, with prince, I would call them the prince regents, Prince Liam and Prince the Spare, and Prince James the heir, and um, and then a council of 100 citizens who are also part of the town hall. What we're aiming to do is to have a right of decision in making laws in the council, a right of participation through the town hall, and eventually a right of appeal, should there be one, for them for to hear also minorities, through cultural centers, which we are deciding now, we are in the process of deciding whether to call them embassies, which would not be diplomatic embassies, but cultural ones, or consulates, or whatever we choose to call them. This would be done mainly in digital form, but also as it comes to the embassies or councils or consulates, sorry, they could also be in buildings. If people have this facility, they could establish offices where people can go and make their voice heard or even get information from the principality, because we will be representing the principality. We are a college, a private college, and as such, we have also applied to become an embassy or council with the principality. We are again aiming to redevelop the fortress, to expand, possibly to build a hotel, who knows, but to have facilities that will make it easier for individuals to step into the platform. Ocean prevention, we want to expand what we do for the sea, and we are aiming to expand our cleanliness, our cleaning of the sea. Again, we are trying to expand our cultural growth. So if not through colleges, through these embassies, where there will be, like we are doing now, presentations on the principalities and on other matters which pertain to the common good. And all this just to promote the principle of personal freedom and self-determination. Every Sealander, and by that we mean either a citizen or an aristocrat without citizenship, every Sealander helps keep the nation alive through building, exploring, and carrying the story forward. Again, most countries are inherited, other than Sealand, the Vatican, and the Order of Malta, e mare libertas. So I hope you enjoyed this presentation tonight. Our next presentation will be to celebrate Prince Michael's birthday on I believe it is the 2nd of August. No, I think is yes, this it's around August. I think it's the second, but I'm not sure. I will check the dates. And okay, so until then, remember that the presentation does not necessarily fall on the exact date, but around that time. So until then, emare libertas and continue to enjoy your education on the Principality of Sealand. Greetings from Baron George Day.